There's 800 million people. That's 10% of Earth. 800 million people in real life right now who are logging into OpenAI's ChatGPT, one of the big five artificial intelligence, unregulated, no guardrails. It took 67 years for 50 million people to ride the airplane. It took 5 weeks for 50 million people to engage with generative artificial intelligence. So it's incumbent upon us in the schools and us as parents and the community and society to educate our youth and our communities as to what is generative AI and what is safe and what isn't, and where do you create some of these lines.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast, your trusted source for real-world tactics that keep students safe and help them to shine online. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. Each week, I sit down with K-12 superintendents, district leaders, and community voices who are shaping digital safety. We discuss wins, struggles, and strategies used to guide students so they can be safe and successful online. Now let's get back to the conversation.
Pleasure to be here with you. My name is Mike Lubelfeld. I'm the superintendent of schools at North Shore School District 112 in Highland Park in Highwood, Illinois. We're 25 miles north of Chicago on the beautiful shores of Lake Michigan. We proudly educate just under 4,000 students in grades pre-K through 8 in 9 schools.
Superintendent, it's so great to have you here. I'm excited to chat with you about how we keep kids safe on social media so they can shine online. For our many audience members all over the country, we're so excited here at smartsocial.com to make sure that you, parents, get as close as possible to your kids because you're the #1 safety app in the world that's going to protect your kiddos from some of the safety stuff, maybe some of the predators, some of the people who want to chat with your kids, and just as importantly, the screen time addiction that might keep them less focused, less happy, less relaxed, and most importantly, less focused in the classroom because we want to get them learning both not only at home, but also in the class. I'm excited to have the superintendent here today. We have so many friends in common, superintendent, right? We just went through the map of all of our 220 other episodes. You have a lot of friends on that map, right?
It's incredible. It's really a small world. And when we get into education, and if you've been around as long as I have, I think so. Yes, it definitely is cool to see the connections we've got.
Okay, we're about to get started, but I want you to talk to me really quickly about a couple of your books. You've got a bunch of books out. You got a new one coming out. This is not a plug for our audience. This is just, look, superintendents work really hard. They start off as teachers, they move up into principals, and then they start leading communities, serving the community. Talk to us a little bit about your books. You've got a co-author too.
I do. So my co-author is Nick Polyak, superintendent of Leiden High Schools in Franklin Park, Illinois, just by O'Hare Airport. And Nick and I started with the unlearning leader. So we've got this concept that it's easy for us to learn, hard for us to unlearn, but we should. We moved him to another series of 3 books with our friend PJ Capozzi, superintendent near Rockford, Illinois, in Oregon, Illinois. We've got student voice. And then we went into the unfinished leader and the unfinished teacher. And really, that concept is we're like apps. We never become the best version of ourselves. We iterate and reiterate to become the next versions. And I'm really excited to share that Nick and I have our 5th book coming out called Leading for Tomorrow's Schools Today. We really are focusing on the future by embracing the present. So thanks for letting me mention that and give a hat tip to my buddies as well.
Superintendent, congrats on all those books and your partnerships with other school districts. All right, the first topic I'd like to get your insights on for all of our audience, they know we're about safety here at Smart Social so your kids can be successful. What does that look like? We want every kid to navigate the digital world in a way that helps them to shine online someday. We all know you're going to build a resume for your high schooler, middle schooler, whatever that is, but we want your kids not only to build that physical PDF or printout, but we want to move them into what does their Google results look like? How are they using AI? And that's called shining online, where we're putting our best foot forward and we are starting to brand themselves. I got my start at Disney Studios at a very young age, learning from the brand marketing division, how they marketed Finding Nemo, Pirates of the Caribbean, Lion King. How do they put those out into the world to get people to want to work with those movies and bring them home and trade money, valuable resources for those pieces of art, if you will? So we're going to work with every kid to make sure they do that. Now, Superintendent, my question for you is, after 200 plus superintendent conversations in 45 plus states, we've heard a consistent trend. We're hearing that students are growing up in a digital world filled with powerful technology, AI, and social media. And in some cases, some communities, not everyone, but a lot of superintendents watching this right now are going to nod their head. Many of these kiddos are lacking the maturity and the guidance to use them safely. The result is more student absences in some cases. Sometimes it's lower focus. I'd say nationwide it probably is, if I'm being fair. Nothing against the kids. It's just these devices are so powerful. Rising cyberbullying, declining self-esteem, and sometimes AI misuse in the classroom. By the way, this is the wild, wild west. Parents, if you're watching this, there is no shame on this program. We're just identifying the facts and how we get ahead of them. But also, we're hearing that parents nationwide are trying to raise good kids in a world they didn't grow up in, a world where now tech is moving faster than safety policies can keep up with. And teens know how to hide apps and online behavior. They're very clever. And safety lessons usually come after a crisis. It's like whack-a-mole. We're trying to figure out what to protect. Superintendent, I'd love your insights. Are there any other trends on this topic that you've seen so that we can alert other school districts before they see them?
I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be part of this program and really part of this movement. So everything you've said, and a concern I have, and I'm certainly not against any apps or any company, so I don't want it to come out that way, but I will illustrate certain apps by name purely to illustrate what's going on. But I just want to kind of put that caveat out there. So there's an app called TikTok that I'm sure you and many folks have heard of. One of the concerns I've seen as a practicing educator here in the suburbs of Chicago is from time to time, people are using that app to communicate with our youth in ways that reach them more efficiently than we in education or even at home. And it encourages them to do what I'll call antisocial or appropriate conduct. And luckily here in my particular little small corner of the world, we've been mostly spared from some of those antics. However, in the Chicago metro area and around the nation, youth have taken the guidance, I suppose, I use that very loosely, on this particular app and have done things that have been inappropriate in schools. There's also apps like Snapchat and other apps where the child will put something on there believing that what they did actually disappears, not understanding because they lack social awareness and maturity to know that anything and everything on any of these devices and digitally has a permanent record. And I just really want parents to understand that. They say, no, my child said it disappeared after 10 seconds. Well, it didn't, parent. And one of the things I want to do is extend my arm as an olive branch out to all of the parents and say, let's work together. Let's work with law enforcement. Not because I want to throw the book at any children, absolutely not. Not because I want to lead with punishment, absolutely not. Because we need to embrace education so we've got greater awareness to know this device that you may allow your child to have as young as 8 years old, 9 or 10, realize that it isn't like the telephone we may have grown up with in the 70s, 80s, 90s, or even the 2000s. It's far more powerful and sophisticated, and it also can be very dangerous.
You know, Superintendent, if you see me looking down, it's because I'm taking notes. I get to learn from you and your peers nationwide. And I heard something, and I want you to follow up in just a sec. I have an idea I want to introduce first, and then I want you to talk more about how they can communicate more efficiently and effectively, because I think that was great, and I want to hear some details there. But first, for all of our audience, I just had a crazy idea. We all know that when we grew up, there were no smartphones. The iPhone was invented 2007, and totally different world. Texting, you had to hit a bunch of the 1 to 9 buttons, or, you had to triple click the J to get the J, right? We all knew that. That was exciting and, quite frankly, archaic compared to what we have now. But kids on Snapchat these days, it's kind of like back in the day when people would TP houses in high school and they thought it was funny and they'd get away with like, I woke up and there's TP everywhere. Pre-COVID, yes, everybody, we used to throw TP around like it was free. But nowadays, if you're TP a house, there's a Ring video doorbell that's going to catch you. And you think, it disappears. I'm not going to get it caught. Everybody has a Ring video doorbell. And if you don't, they're great. Not sponsored by them, but I've got a bunch. They're phenomenal. But nowadays, Snapchat, as the superintendent said, is very similar, right? You think, it's going to go away. I got away with it. There's cameras everywhere. Or Snapchat, somebody's screenshotting on the other side. So true. I mean, it's the Ring video doorbell, can't TP a house without getting caught type of mentality. I'm not suggesting people do that, but the old fun stuff that was somewhat harmless that took hours to clean up but didn't damage anything used to be a blast. Only done it like once or twice. Okay, superintendent, I want you to dive in more, communicating more. I think you said efficiently. You were talking about TikTok. Can you dive into an example there so that our audience of superintendents and parents and everybody in between understands, they'll probably latch onto that and go, oh, that's happened in our community as well.
Yeah. So, and again, not trying to vilify any particular app, but this actually has occurred in the region here in our Chicago metro area. They sometimes refer to it as a TikTok challenge because some users somewhere in the country are communicating on this platform that is affecting millions of children. And they'll say something like, go in the bathroom at your school and take the paper towels and, shove it in the toilet or something. And that isn't okay because everyone's doing that. All of a sudden the pipes are damaged and you've got problems and you have bathroom problems. And it seems innocuous or silly or like a prank, but it really becomes antisocial because then they do something light like that. But then it comes into now go to your bathrooms and pull the mirrors off or something. And again, I know this sounds insane. And some parents might be listening saying, that's crazy. Who would do it? My kid would never do it. Well, we really have to be mindful of the fact that some of these groupthink and social media, and we read books like The Lord of the Flies as youth saying, that's crazy. That could never happen. Well, it is happening now with really good kids and really nice neighborhoods and really everywhere because there's some addictive power on these devices and social media that is unhealthy and antisocial. And as educators and parents, we have to unite together to regulate their usage because these challenges can then also call for teen takeovers of areas and neighborhoods. And then all of a sudden, someone may have a firearm and someone gets shot and no, that wasn't the intention. And my kid would never be there, but you have a 14-year-old in the hospital. I don't mean to be doom and gloom. This happens around, not just in large metro urban areas. It happens everywhere.
Superintendent, you're 100% in line with every other superintendent we've talked to. And parents, again, there's no shame, but the doom and gloom is important. And we know this because high schools, that we've seen the stats, high schools are great at this. If they don't want drunk driving over the last 30 years, they will bring an EMT truck. They'll do one day where it's all about drunk driving awareness. And they'll say, one of your students is missing. One of your peers might be missing today. And you're walking through a crime scene, seeing how it happened. They thought they'd have 2 drinks, underage here and this and that. We walk through one little decision thinking it's cool leads to a death. And parents, that doom and gloom has helped to reduce deaths massively. And what we're just working on today is discussing if you see something, teens, that looks cool and they have millions of views and you want to do it to get views too, parents have to come in to help do that. And I'm hearing from superintendents nationwide, Josh, if we can just partner with parents and we can work together, we can build the most resilient kids ever. They can understand the ramifications of what they're doing. They will have an area to play around and play pranks on each other, to have a lot of fun, but they need to know the outcome of some of these pranks can really hurt somebody. Superintendent, did I get that wrong?
You got that right. You got that 100% right. We need to work with our communities and our parents. If this is a tricky one and this is a little dicey and it might upset a few people, and I don't mean to upset people, but I want to share this. Nationwide, there's a movement to ban, prohibit, and not allow cell phones or other devices in classrooms. As a lifelong educator, 33 years full-time public school, 35 years total, my ask is, why are we allowing these to get into the school in the first place? I shouldn't necessarily be the one responsible to ban or prohibit it. If our families were able to limit, ban, restrict, or prohibit, I work with children ages 3 through 14. I don't even have high school kids. So why do my elementary students even have these devices? Before I'm asked to ban or prohibit, I'm asking gently and nicely, but also provocatively, why are you letting your child have it? There's more of you than there are of me. So I do think we have to work together, and society's got to also help with some of these norms to renorm it. At 8 years old, maybe you don't need a $500 to $1,000 device in your pocket.
$1,600 now for the iPhone 16 Plus. I thought I had to mortgage the house, but I couldn't agree more with you. And I think parents are understanding that nationwide. To all of our audience, the teachers in the classroom really want your kids to learn the most in that 1 hour they have in that topic or that area, or maybe a 6-hour day with the teacher teaches all the lessons in elementary school. How do we get those kids to focus, to be resilient at the age of 25? Our dream, our focus at Smart Social is we want the best 25-year-old kids ready for the world with the best resume, the best career, moved out of their parents' basement, and they're attacking the world, and mom and dad are proud of them. And in many of the best psychologists, therapists, counselors are saying to do that, we need to reduce the distractions in the classroom. To do that, the superintendent's saying, let's not text your kids 5 times during a class. Let's try and keep that. We know you have something to say. Let's schedule it for the end of the day. Let's do this and that. And let's let kids focus. Superintendent, we're going over here because I love your dialogue. Is that reasonable, do you think? What's a pro tip on how parents can text at the end of the day instead of during the day?
I would say please refrain from giving your children these cellular watches, especially the younger ones will say, well, we don't give them a phone yet, but I've got them the watch. Well, any distraction is going to be too hard. And I do not want to ask an 8, 9, 10-year-old to regulate their parents' behavior. That's not fair or responsible. I will say the school does have a responsibility, though. I'm not abdicating my responsibility, and I don't need to send devices home every night. In fairness and defense of the parents, they may have a screen-free home, and it's incumbent upon me to remind our teachers we don't need to send an iPad home or a Chromebook home 5 nights a week. Maybe we don't have to send them home at all. So I think that's a responsibility that I bear as the school to say, let's work together to limit the temptation or limit the usage of electronics if we can avoid it.
That's so powerful. I think all the other superintendents and administrators watching, that was a really big one. I don't want to ask an 8, 9, 10-year-old to regulate their parents' behavior. It's tough. It's a tough world right now. I love this vulnerability. I don't think you're too hard on this. I think we need to have these discussions, Superintendent. Okay, for all of our listeners, we reach a couple million people a year as we host these parent night events every single week. And don't miss out on them, because if your district is a partner, you're auto entering to win a Bluetooth speaker, Amazon Kindle, or a 3D printer every single week. You not only protect your family, but you're entering to win cool prizes just by showing up. So we have millions of questions a year. One of the big ones is, hey, Josh, what advice would you give a student to help them recognize some of the red flags of a dangerous stranger? Parents, you heard me say in the beginning of the topic, there's so many dangers. Some of them are inside the house, meaning screen time, content. Some of them are outside the house. And we want to protect your kids, especially from those dangerous people who are begging for a chance to just chat with your kids. Let's hear from a real teen about how she might help a friend recognize these red flags. This is an excerpt from one of our real live events. Parents, remember, if your district's a partner, bring your kids and they'll hear from real teens, and they'll roll their eyes less than if you had this talk with them. We're here for you.
If I had a friend talking online to a stranger, I think that I would feel a little bit uncomfortable with the whole situation. I would advise against it because so many indirect issues can come from that, and it could cause something to be worse than if they had just unadded them in the first place. Some red flags that I would have to advise them to cut it off with this person or to stop engaging would be if the person starts to get very involved in their personal life and they seem to be very intrigued in what's going on with them and wanting to know all the little details about what they do and who they are, and just very personal details and things that you wouldn't normally share with a stranger in real life. If they're very persistent and constantly wanting to talk to my friend or constantly trying to be involved in their life or wanting to speak to them, I feel like that's kind of a red flag. Another thing would be if they ask them to ever meet them anywhere in person right from the start. If they feel a sense of being uncomfortable, or their intuition is just saying it's wrong, or if my intuition is saying something feels wrong with this, then I think that's a major red flag.
All right, parents, remember, if your district's a partner, there's weekly live parent events and replays. There's weekly, about 50 of them a year. There's teen-led video lessons. So a lot of parents say, I joined the program live from my tablet or PC, and my kids heard other teens and they came in to listen because they find it fascinating to learn from teens. And there's a premium parent newsletter. There's giveaways at every live event. Also, parents, I want to show you just real quick some of our next upcoming events. But first, we've got the latest app guides for you on TikTok. We teach every parent in 12 languages how to navigate all these apps: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, Netflix, WhatsApp, and 450 more of the most dangerous challenges the superintendent mentioned. We've been put on the news a lot, navigating the bathroom challenge that was called Devious Licks, and all these other different challenges that really are keeping districts from fully teaching your kids how to navigate arithmetic, English, how do we become the best communicators and manage all these things, and to socialize old school ways that helps your kid when they're 25. Parents, don't miss out. We're teaching more AI than anyone we've ever seen. AI for student success, being productive and learning future skills. We have real 8th grade teachers in here teaching how to minimize cheating, but maximize learning. Imagine the world where for close to free, you had the world-class tutor helping your kid and you're looking over their shoulder, tutoring your kid on how to learn the most. We've got impact of screen time, all kinds of different events, 50 of them, replays, and so on. All right, we are back to the program. Superintendent, In addition to these 200 plus of your peers we've talked to, we've heard from communities as well. And we're hearing that many parents are feeling overwhelmed trying to keep up with fast moving online trends and digital safety risks. We're hearing that students are finding clever ways to increase their screen time and bend the rules, especially when the expectations going back to school differ significantly from those at home. Superintendent, what trends or pain points are you seeing when it comes to parent engagement? And where do you feel families are struggling the most to stay informed or connected?
Oh my gosh. Well, there's definitely a continuum. Some families are completely dialed in. They're high tech. They're aware of it. They've got these conversations with their children. They understand when they're gaming that they can only speak to friends, meaning human friends that they know and children in the neighborhood. And other parents, honestly, have no idea at all that when a child is playing on a video game, they're possibly and very likely communicating with people who may or may not be their peers, their friends, or their age or their ages. And part of it comes from communication at home. And obviously, in the school set, we can't regulate that. But what we can do at the school side is provide educational materials for parents, courtesy materials, have our partners with law enforcement and with social work and with social agencies, partners like yourself, come in and really educate and share and have parent nights more than once to say, if your child is playing video games, it isn't like playing a video game at an arcade that you may have done when you were in high school or college. It's an interactive, engaging event, and you've got to teach your children how they're allowed to communicate with others and with whom they're allowed and how to talk with them about any red flags, yellow flags, concerns. The real pain point is parents simply not knowing and children possibly not even being aware that there might be a horribly creepy X number of people out there that are actually looking to groom. And we've got to do everything we can to prevent all grooming and all inappropriate conduct on these seemingly innocent gaming platforms.
Yeah, so true. And then one of the things I want to walk everybody through here real quick for all of our audience, our law enforcement partners, and we love our law enforcement nationwide who are trying to help protect us by giving us the stories. They say, we reiterate what they say and make it bite sized. If your kids are wearing headphones at home and you think, oh no, Billy's just over in the corner playing Fortnite. No, they're not. They're a million miles away talking with people that use 4-letter words, and you are what you hear. You are what you eat. You are what you listen to. If there's F bombs all the time, you become that. You start saying that. And second, those people may think they may be 45 years old and not appropriate to be talking with your 13-year-old, right? I want to show everybody another trend that's happening right now that is just devastating. And I went to Smart Social. I searched for our 450 resources. I typed in the word nudify. What is nudify? Well, we're going to click on this resource. This is free for everybody. It's not gated. I happen to be logged in. But Nudify app danger is what parents need to know. And this is absolutely one of the hottest trends we're seeing right now. It's devastating. It's putting us on the news, trying to protect people with it. And it really comes back to what are Nudify apps? They use AI technology to alter images, often making people in the images appear nude or explicit without the individual's consent. What does that mean? You take a picture of, unfortunately, kids are taking a picture of a girl, and then the app will take the face and put it on another person. Which, by the way, parents, you know this, but if we don't talk to kids about this, they won't know. They'll think it's funny. It devastates the victim, absolutely devastates them. They don't want to go to school. Some of them, this is explicit, some of them will want to end their life. This is how this works. It is that devastating at 10 to 14 years old, absolutely devastating. And also the person that thought it was funny in a prank, they are law enforcement's coming in. Their life is different, right? I would argue if we don't talk to the kids about what this looks like ahead of time, we as the parents, I'm speaking to all of us, we become liable, right? The school's trying to do the best. They've got arithmetic, math, calculus, they got all this stuff to do. And they got these new apps. So we unfortunately have to update. Parents, be aware of these new apps. They are throwing the alarming rise of AI nudify apps. It's put us on the news a lot. This is free for you. There's ones called Deep Nude, Nufa AI, Undress AI, X-ray scanner prank. Again, they try and make it sound like it's a prank. Nudify me. The news says, and I didn't expect to dive into this, Superintendent, but it's hot right now. AI nudify sites are being sued for victimizing people. How can we battle deep fake abuse? Parents, that's just a little taste test of what we need to look at. Superintendent, did I get that wrong? What are your thoughts?
You got that right. I mean, you're aware and your viewers are aware that, for example, there's 800 million people. That's 10% of Earth. 800 million people in real life right now who are logging into OpenAI's ChatGPT, one of the big five artificial intelligence, unregulated, no guardrails. It took 67 years for 50 million people to ride the airplane. 67 years. It took 5 weeks for 50 million people to engage with generative artificial intelligence. So it's incumbent upon us in the schools and us as parents and the community and society to educate our youth and our communities as to what is generative AI and what is safe and what isn't, and where do you create some of these lines. So I'm grateful to you for bringing that up.
Yeah, thanks so much. For all of our audience, our next events, we're going to give you a free teaser of this. Sneaky Ways Video Apps Keeps Teens Watching. This is one of our bigger events back to school. We want to understand the subtle ways video apps keeps teens captivated and learn strategies to help them balance screen time. One of the bigger questions parents have is, Josh, what are some tips to help my teen manage the screen time? A lot of superintendents told me, Josh, if we can just fix screen time addiction, most of these other problems go away, right? Well, let's not hear from me answering this question. Let's hear from two teens with tips on how to reset their screen time.
I just try to hold myself accountable about how much time I'm spending, because you can get lost really easily. While you're doing it, you think 30-second videos, what's the harm in that? But then when you've launched 4 hours out of your day, you feel a lot of regret. Why would I spend 5 hours scrolling on this app before bed when I could have been getting more sleep or being more productive throughout my day? My mom, she always lets me know when I'm just dead scrolling on TikTok for hours. Like, she usually tells me how long it's been. You should probably get up and go do the things that you need to do. So besides holding yourself accountable, it's really helpful if you have a parent or someone that cares about you to hold you accountable for how much time you're losing on those video apps.
Some techniques I use to stop myself from getting sucked into social media is being very aware of why I'm on there, as well as understanding how it's addictive. Even though it can be fun to just sit on my phone and scroll and lose myself in it, keeping in mind the things I need to do and setting aside the time to do that rather than falling into it like a trap.
Okay, parents, we don't want you to be afraid. We want to show you the tactics and tips so you can memorize right now. At the end of this, you can screenshot this, and we're going to get the superintendent's input on this. He's going to bring his years of experience. I think he's too young to retire. I'm going to tell you right now, he looks way too young, but he's had a lot of experience working not only in the classroom, but a principal. Every superintendent works their way up. And I think that every superintendent nationwide has agreed with me. If we ask open-ended questions, that ends up being the world's safest way to protect your kids, because it gets your kids thinking. It gets them coming to you when they have a question and see something on that topic. It is okay if they roll their eyes and go, Mom, you're uncool. That you get 5 extra points just for getting there. So parents, here's some questions you can ask your teen or your younger kid to have an open conversation and help them evaluate the quality of their screen time. Feel free to use these whenever possible. If you want to memorize them and make them your own, that's great. If you want to screenshot them, but just think about one to use in the car ride home from school or to school, and also around the dinner table or wherever is comfortable. Hey, son, how do you feel after your screen time, right? Or daughter. And you can ask them this and get some opening up. Notice it's not a yes or no answer they can have. It's open-ended. Does that app or activity make you feel stronger or weaker after 1 hour? Very interesting way. And it's hard for them. They go, huh? That's a good point. I never really thought about that. I could be really good at TikTok, but it makes me feel weak. Next, what screen time or activities or apps make you feel stronger? Well, that's fascinating. I didn't think about that. It could be some YouTube videos they watch make them feel more creative. It could be maybe there's tutoring videos, stuff like that. Maybe asking ChatGPT positive stuff that they're curious about, about the forefathers of the country or stuff like that. They're like, wow, I'm absorbing data. These are all open-ended questions. What activities make you feel focused or relaxed? And it doesn't have to be online. Notice that question's a little different. And then how much time do you think is healthy? And it means let your kids decide. Now, I'm going to give you a little prescription. I'm not a licensed psychologist, therapist, or counselor. I just listen to the whole country and whittle it down for you. We at Smart Social are professionally recommending that most parents try and limit social media to 1 hour a day or less. Let's get that homework done first. Let's get a lot of the other stuff done, and then maybe some other stuff. And then maybe it's done as a family, kind of fun together. We do recommend, and then I'm going to get the superintendent's advice. I'm going to throw a little nugget here. We do recommend that if you do give your kids a phone younger, that you delay social media till the age of 16. I know your kids are going to hate me, blame it on me, say this one random guy, Josh, he's terrible. but we are recommending that you delay social media until the age of 16. The whole country of Australia agrees with us. And that's because if you want to communicate with your kids because of co-parenting environment, we get it. Give your kids a little younger, but that 16, they're a little more mature. Dialogue with them there. That's going to be a really important one once they get started. Superintendent, what are some of your tips on how we can build the best dialogue between a trusted adult and the kiddo?
Oh my gosh. First of all, I love your suggestions, Josh. 100% support them. I would ask the parents to talk with the parents of their children's friends and get a community compact. We all agree there will be no group texts. Group text messages, especially in the younger kids, and again, my focus on the younger kids, group text messages can be as devastating as possibly efficient. As parents, let's agree on certain parameters, rules, norms, and expectations so you're not the only parent that takes the phone and puts it in the living room as opposed to leaving it in the child's bedroom. We have to reclaim our parental authority. We have to help the children re-enjoy their childhood by not putting them in situations that they're not equipped to handle. What happens in the group chat when there's 5 children and all of a sudden they leave out one of them and there's another group chat? Well, what's the real group chat? Who was left out and why? Parents, we've got to really be a bit more assertive with our children as they're growing up, and the schools have to help as well to make sure that we're creating conditions that are pro-social and not antisocial.
I love that. That's an excellent tip. Hey, Superintendent, you took a lot of time out of your busy day. We're going back to school. You've got a lot of staff and kiddos to protect, nurture, and make them resilient. Thanks so much for joining us here today.
Josh, this has been incredible. Thank you for all you do. It's an honor to be part of this entire conversation. Thank you.
Really appreciate it. For all of our audience, remember, it's all about that rich dialogue to keep your kids safe so they can someday be very successful. And that means shining online in some cases, navigating the digital world so it doesn't take over. They still need those amazing skills of how to look at people in eye contact, how to rise up the ladder by using all the tools, but then at the same time, having the old school stuff that's so important to parents. And that comes on you to help navigate that. Parents also, as you're posting online, remember to keep it light, bright, and polite because our kids are always modeling what we do online and offline. I'm Josh Oakes, the founder of smartsocial.com. Thanks for watching this episode. We'll see you on the next one. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks for spending time with the smartsocial.com podcast. If today's insights were useful, please share the episode with a fellow parent or educator and subscribe so you never miss our next conversation. And parents, make sure to join one of our next live online events each week to keep your family safe and also enter for a chance to win cool prizes. You can learn more at smartsocial.com. I'm your host, Josh Oakes, and parents, remember to keep it light, bright, and polite because your kids are watching what you're doing online. I'll see you on the next episode.